You know those nights that start off normal but end up changing everything? That's how it was with Gavin. Gavin Carter was a man everyone knew. Rich, powerful, full of important business. He used to dine at fancy places with dishes that seemed like works of art. But that night, he didn't want luxury. He just wanted a simple, calm place. Because that night, he was with her, his daughter, Lily. Lily was 6 years old. She was beautiful, with straight hair and a pink coat that seemed like a warm hug. But she didn't talk. She didn't smile. She didn't react. She just sat there, staring into space, quietly in her wheelchair. It was like she was in her own world. Gavin entered with her into a small diner. The bell on the door rang, and the smell of fresh bread and coffee spread through the air. It was all very different from what he was used to. And that was okay, because he wasn't there for himself. "A table for two, please," he said in that serious but tired voice. The hostess smiled in a kind way, even though she seemed exhausted. She led them to a table in the back, far from the noise. Gavin sat down, but didn't even look at the menu. His eyes were only on her. "Are you hungry, my love?" he asked softly to Lily. She didn't answer. She never answered. His heart squeezed. He had faced crises, million-dollar decisions, meetings with businessmen from all over the world. But sitting there in front of his own daughter, he felt small, lost, not knowing what to do. That's when she appeared. "Good evening. My name is Vanessa, and I'll be taking care of you today," said the waitress, with a light smile and a sweet demeanor that caught attention. She seemed young. There was something different in her eyes, a warmth, a tenderness, even with her tired face. Gavin noticed that the sleeve of her uniform was covered in flour. She had probably helped in the kitchen, too. "Grilled chicken for me, and for my daughter, something soft, maybe soup?" Vanessa looked at Lily with care, not with pity, but with genuine affection. "Does she like chicken pasta? It's homemade. I made it myself." Gavin hesitated, but finally agreed. "Okay, that'll work." A few minutes later, Vanessa returned with the dishes. "Here you go. If you need anything, just let me know, okay?" She smiled and left, placing the soup in front of Lily and the chicken in front of Gavin. He picked up the spoon carefully. "Let's try, my love." But when he brought the spoon closer, Lily reacted. Suddenly, her little hand shot up quickly and hit the spoon. The sound was loud. The soup flew. It spilled on the tablecloth. Some people turned their heads to look. Gavin closed his eyes and took a deep breath. It wasn't anger at his daughter. It was anger at himself, at the helplessness, at trying, and not being able to reach her. He tried again with a calmer voice. "Please, Lily, just a little." But nothing. She just sat there, holding her dress, staring into the void. That's when he felt someone approaching. "Can I try?" a soft voice asked. It was Vanessa. But this time, she wasn't standing. She was kneeling beside Lily, her eyes full of quiet courage. She didn't look at her with pity. She looked willing, present. Gavin frowned. "You want to try feeding her?" he asked, not quite believing it. She just nodded, picking up the spoon slowly. "If she lets me, of course," she added with a shy smile. Gavin was about to say no. It had always been that way. He paid for the best therapists, caregivers, specialists. They all failed. And now a waitress wanted to try? But something in the way she was made him stay silent. Vanessa took a little bit of the soup. Not in a hurry, not in fear. She brought the spoon to Lily's face as if she were offering a secret, not a meal. And then something unexpected happened. Lily slowly turned her face, very slowly, and opened her mouth. Gavin couldn't believe his eyes. The spoon went in. She swallowed. She ate," he whispered, almost breathless. Vanessa smiled, but she stayed there, calm, as if that was the most natural thing in the world. From that moment on, something changed. That simple night,
that ordinary waitress. That spoonful of soup changed everything. And Gavin knew deep in his heart that their lives, his, Lily's, and even Vanessa's, would never be the same. After that magical moment, that simple spoonful of soup, Gavin couldn't stop looking at the waitress. It was as if he had witnessed a miracle. She didn't wear a specialist's lab coat. She didn't have diplomas on the wall. But for the first time in a long time, someone had reached Lily. Gavin cleared his throat, still unsure of what to say. "Thank you, really." Vanessa gave a little smile. "No need to thank me. Sometimes all a child needs is someone who'll stop to listen to her silence." He sat in silence for a moment, staring at those words as if they were a punch to his chest. That was it. He had been so busy trying to fix Lily that he had forgotten to simply be with her. In the following days, Gavin couldn't get that scene out of his mind. For the first time, Lily had reacted, with a stranger, in a simple diner. And that woman, that Vanessa, had done more for his daughter in 5 minutes than the greatest specialists in the country had in years. 2 days later, he returned to the diner, this time alone. Vanessa was cleaning a table when she saw him. Her eyes widened in surprise. "Hey, you came back?" Gavin nodded. "I need to make you an offer." She frowned, confused. "Look, if it's about that night, seriously, you don't need to pay me or anything." "It's not that," he interrupted. "I want to hire you." Vanessa's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I want you to come work with me and Lily." She shook her head, nervously laughing. "Sir, I'm a waitress. I don't have any training. I'm not a caregiver." "But you have something that no one else had. Connection." Vanessa stayed silent for a moment. Then her eyes filled with tears. "Why would you trust me?" Gavin took a deep breath. "Because my daughter trusted you." Vanessa accepted. In the first week, she went to their house, a huge place full of glass, luxury, and silence. Lily was in the living room, as always, silent, distant, her little fingers twisted in the fabric of her clothes. Vanessa knelt beside her, just like she did the first time. "Hi, Princess, I'm back," she said with the same calmness as always. Lily didn't respond, but this time she blinked slowly, as if recognizing the voice. And so, day after day, something started to change. Vanessa talked to her, even without getting a response. She made funny faces, told silly stories, showed colorful toys, even if Lily didn't react. Then, one afternoon, Lily laughed. It was a soft sound, short, almost imperceptible. But Gavin heard it. He ran into the room. She laughed?" he asked, as if he were hearing music for the first time. Vanessa was sitting on the floor with the girl in her lap, her eyes brimming with tears. "Yes, she did, and it was for a terrible joke I told." That laugh was the beginning. Lily started accepting spoonfuls of food. Then she let her hair be brushed. Months later, she even began to babble sounds, random words, as if, finally, she wanted to step out of the world she had hidden in for so long. And Gavin, he changed too. He started laughing more. He began putting his phone down. He learned how to play with his daughter, without fear, without rushing. He discovered that love is not about fixing things, it's about being present. And Vanessa, she was no longer the waitress. She was part of the family, part of the miracle. 1 year later, in that same restaurant where it all began, Gavin kneeled, not beside his daughter this time, but at Vanessa's feet. He took a little box out of his pocket. "You appeared in my life by chance, but you changed everything. Will you keep changing things with me?" She cried, she laughed, and said yes. And Lily, now 7 years old, clapped her hands. one of the first reactions she learned from Vanessa. It was just a spoonful of soup, but it was the beginning of a new life. After the wedding, Gavin's life changed completely. The mansion, which had once felt like an empty castle, now had the sound of laughter, the smell of cake in the oven, and toys scattered across the halls. Lily, who had once lived quietly in her own world, was now blossoming. She was still shy, still had days of silence, but she also had days of smiles. She now recognized voices, responded with a nod, and even started saying loose words like daddy and vey, what she called Vanessa. Gavin, he seemed like a different person. He was no longer just the tough businessman who solved everything with contracts and numbers. He was a dad, for real. He woke up early to make pancakes. He learned how to tie Lily's hair, and even memorized children's songs and sang, very badly by the way, just to make his daughter laugh. But the biggest transformation was in Vanessa. She was no longer just the woman who saved Lily. She became someone who inspired others. She began sharing their journey on social media, not for fame, but to show that there are children who need presence, not just professionals. It's not about being perfect, it's about being there, every day, she would say, looking at the camera with sincerity. People started to follow, comment, and send messages. Families going through similar situations felt hope again. Some said, "You gave me courage." Others, "I thought I was alone until I saw you." And so, something incredible happened. Vanessa, the waitress who never thought she would have a voice, now had millions listening to what she said. She started a project, small at first, with Gavin's help. A free space where children with disabilities and their families could receive support, affection, and most importantly,
Acceptance. They named the place Casa da Lili, Lily's house. And there, miracles happened every day. Children who didn't speak began to sing. Children who were afraid to eat learned to ask for more. Exhausted parents who thought they had failed found strength again. And at the heart of it all was her, Lily. The girl who once wouldn't look at anyone was now a symbol of hope. At the official opening of Casa da Lili, there was a simple stage, colorful balloons, and many families gathered. Gavin, with tears in his eyes, took the microphone. "I spent my whole life looking for solutions in numbers, companies, contracts. But the greatest investment of my life was trusting in love. And it appeared in the form of a waitress with a giant heart, and in a girl who taught me what it really means to live." At that moment, Lily walked up to the stage, confident, calm, in Vanessa's arms. For the first time in front of everyone, Lily held the microphone with her little trembling hands and said, "Thank you." It was just one word, but the silence that followed was magical. Everyone cried. Vanessa smiled. Gavin dropped to his knees, overwhelmed with emotion. And right then, in that moment, the world saw. Sometimes it only takes one person to believe, to change everything. After that word, "thank you," life was never the same. Lily never stopped again. It seemed like a light had been turned on inside her, a desire to speak, to express herself. She still spoke slowly. Sometimes she mispronounced words, but now she wanted to try. Vanessa was there for everything: therapy sessions, school, play dates with other children. Every new word was celebrated like a trophy. And Gavin, well, he cried more than anyone. Sometimes hidden, sometimes right in the middle of everything. "Do you realize what she just said?" he would shout, showing a little notebook where Lily had written, "I love you, Daddy," in crooked letters. It was impossible not to get emotional. But, like every royal family, not everything was perfect. When Lily turned 8, the big step came: regular school.
Vanessa and Gavin argued a lot about this. They were scared. She still had communication difficulties. She was still startled by loud noises, still closed herself off sometimes. But Lily made the decision. One afternoon, she pointed to the new backpack Vanessa had bought. "I want to go." That was enough.
On the first day of school, Gavin was more nervous than she was. Vanessa tried to smile, but inside, her heart was tight. They left her at the door, with her uniform neat and her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "It's going to be okay," Gavin whispered. "She's stronger than we think." But not everything went right at first. In the second week, Lily came home quiet, quieter than usual. When Vanessa took off her school shirt, she saw marks on her arms, scratches. "What's this?" Gavin yelled, already grabbing his phone to call the principal. Vanessa held his hand. "Calm down. Let's talk to her first." It was hard, but little by little, with simple words, Lily explained. A group of boys had been mocking her. They called her broken, baby, because she spoke slowly and walked differently. Gavin was furious, but Vanessa took a deep breath. "It's no use fighting for her. We need to teach her how to defend herself the right way." The next week, Vanessa spent the afternoons teaching Lily to respond, to say, "I'm not like you, and that's okay," to look people in the eye, to stand her ground, calmly, firmly. And Lily learned. The next week, when one of the boys approached to tease her, she looked him in the eye and said, "I'm different, and you are too. Everyone is, and that's not bad." The boy didn't know how to respond. After that, he never bothered her again. And more, another shy girl came up to her. "Can I be your friend?" It was the beginning of something new. Lily started forming real connections. She had classmates. She was included in games. And with that, she grew more and more. At the end of that year, she went up on stage at school for a performance. In front of parents, teachers, and students, she sang a song, alone, in a red dress with a bow on her head. Gavin cried. Vanessa nearly fainted from emotion. "She's flying, Gavin," she whispered, squeezing his hand. "Our girl is flying." And on the other side of the city, Casa da Lily had already become a network. 3 new units had been opened in other cities. Families sent letters, videos, photos, saying that because of Lily's story, they had started to believe again. They had found the courage to love their children the way they were. Vanessa had become a national reference. She was invited for interviews, events, seminars on inclusion. But even with the fame, she never stopped being who she was. She was always there, kneeling on the floor, playing with the children, smiling genuinely, just like she did that first night with a spoonful of soup. And Gavin, he remained the same too. The man who once thought he had everything and discovered that his everything had a name. Lily. Lily is now 13 years old, her long hair tied up in a ponytail. She still walks with some difficulty, but no longer needs the wheelchair. Her speech is slow but clear. She always carries a notebook. It's where she writes what she feels, what she thinks, and what she still can't say out loud. Gavin and Vanessa, now with more gray hairs and fewer nights of sleep, stand by her side with every step she takes. But something starts to change. Lily starts asking, "Mom, why am I different?" Vanessa swallows hard. "Because you are unique, my dear. Everyone is. But you are made of a special miracle." Lily doesn't answer. In fact, she starts pulling away. She spends more time alone in her room. She stops eating with the family. And worst of all, she begins comparing herself. The other girls don't walk like this. They talk fast. They wear grown-up clothes. Gavin tries to cheer her up. "You are beautiful just the way you are, my love. You don't need to be like anyone else." But she doesn't want to listen. Lily's self-esteem begins to plummet. One night, Vanessa finds a page from her notebook on the bed.
It's written forcefully, almost tearing the paper. "I wish I were normal. That's all." Vanessa feels her chest tighten. The next day, she talks to Gavin. She's entering the hardest phase, the one where the world starts to demand that she be what she's not. "What can we do?" he asks, frantic. Vanessa responds firmly. Show her that being different is a strength, not a flaw. And that's when the idea comes. An event. Something made by and for young people like Lily. A stage where no one is judged, where everyone has a place. A space to show that difference doesn't separate, it connects. They call it Incredible Voices. Vanessa and the Casa de Lily team organize everything. Young people with physical disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, everyone gets the chance to take the stage and share who they are. But Lily doesn't want to participate.
"I can't, Mom. I still freeze up. I still forget words. I still shake." Vanessa looks into her daughter's eyes. "Do you know why you're special, Lily? Because even with fear, you try. You've always tried. Since that night with the spoon, remember?" Lily remains silent, but the seed has been planted. Days later, Gavin enters the room and finds Lily wearing the dress from her first performance as a child. "I think I've grown a little, but I can try again." The day of the event arrives. The theater is packed. Whole families, excited children, emotional parents. Lily steps onto the stage with some difficulty. Her hands tremble. The microphone slips. She takes a deep breath and starts reading her text. With a quiet voice, but firm. "I am Lily, and for a long time, I thought being different was wrong. Today, I understand that it's what makes me special. I learned to walk, talk, and love myself, not on other people's time, on my time. And that is more than enough." Total silence. Then an explosion of applause, shouts, tears. Lily smiles. That smile of hers, which only appears when her heart is full of truth. Gavin stands up, moved. She found her own voice. Vanessa holds his hand. Not just that, she's giving a voice to those who are still afraid to speak. After that day, the video of her performance goes viral. Millions watch. Lily is invited for interviews, to participate in programs, and to film documentaries. But none of that matters to her. What truly matters are the messages she starts receiving. From other children, from teenagers, from parents who, just like Gavin once did, felt lost and powerless. Lily becomes a beacon, a guide, an inspiration. And the best part? She's still only 13. Because for her, the world has only just begun. Years passed. Lily is now 19. The same sweetness in her gaze, the same silent determination of someone who has learned to fight since birth. She no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. She simply is, and that's enough. Casa de Lily has become an international movement. Thousands of families are served. Children with disabilities now have access to love, care, and respect that once upon a time, Lily almost didn't have. All thanks to a spoonful of soup. To a girl who once didn't speak, but who today is heard around the world. Vanessa continues by her side. Tired, yes, but steadfast. And Gavin? Well, he is no longer the same man in an impeccable suit with a stern expression. Now he's a father with moist eyes and a light soul. Because he discovered that it wasn't him who changed Lily's life, it was she who saved his. But then, one day, everything slows down. It was an ordinary morning. The sun was coming through the window. Lily was lying down, looking at the sky. There was a softness in her face, as if she knew her mission was complete. She calls for Vanessa. "Mom, can I tell you a secret?" Vanessa sits on the edge of the bed and smiles. "Of course, my love. I've always been afraid of not being enough,
of you and Dad getting tired of me, but today I understand that I was loved so much. Vanessa swallows her tears. Lily, you were the most beautiful thing life gave me. If I could, I'd choose you 1,000 times. The girl smiles, tired. Then it's okay if I rest for a little bit? Vanessa squeezes her daughter's hand. It's okay, my love. Go ahead, rest. Mommy is here. Lily closes her eyes. And for the first time, there is no pain. There is no fight. There is only peace. The world stopped that day. The news spread quickly. Lily Carter, global symbol of inclusion and love, passes away at 19. Letters arrived from all corners of the world. Videos, drawings, children saying, "I am like Lily." But nothing compared to what Gavin found in her room days later. It was an envelope on the bed. With crooked handwriting, it said, "To Dad and Mom." Inside, there was a piece of paper with just a few words. "If I ever leave, don't be sad. I just went to teach the stars to smile like you taught me. I love you, Lily." Gavin fell to his knees. Vanessa hugged her daughter's pillow, and the world cried with them.
Years later, Casa da Lily became a global foundation. Vanessa now travels the world sharing her daughter's story. Gavin writes books, gives lectures, but always ends the same way. It all started with a spoonful of soup and a girl who taught me how to love truly. In the sky, perhaps, a star shines a little brighter, as if to say, I'm here, I'm still a voice, I'm still love. And we believe. Because Lily was never just a girl. She was a miracle who walked slowly but touched hearts too fast.